During civil unrest in Egypt, a group of archaeologists are digging up a pyramid under the sand. They decide to go inside to investigate, only to find there's no way out and something is hunting them down. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Boucher.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Bad. All right, so today we'll be talking about the 2014 found footage horror film, The Pyramid. For those who want a very quick summary that you don't have to watch like an hour and a half documentary on, but do so if you will. After the monster success of Paranormal Activity in 2007, and yes, I'm aware of their found footage before this, but in this case, after that film, Hollywood doubled the fuck down and started releasing so many found footage horror films after this being one of them. Granted, it came kind of at the tail end of that particular cycle, but still, out of it, like anything that happens with this in horror and like big budget Hollywood backed horror films, sometimes you get some good films out of it, and sometimes not so good, which is where this one falls in. But with that, before we kind of like essentially shit on this because we both collectively hated this film, and digging into like this subgenre a little bit, I want to kind of pose this question: how do you feel about this subgenre personally? Found footage horror films, and got any favorites that kind of came out of it?
I like found footage when done correctly, but the problem is it is so rarely done correctly. It's so easy to produce that I feel like most of the time no one gives a shit about the content. All they care about is the return, and that's okay if that's what you want. But most of these, it's hard for these to kind of stand out. You know what I mean? But I do have a few that I do like. One I discovered through the Filmgazm podcast a couple years back, As Above, So Below, which came out in 2014. Actually, very similar plot to The Pyramid. It came up later on when we do What's in the Box. There was a lot of comparing to As Above, So Below, a lot of puns, if you will. Like one of them, I didn't include this in my reviews, but one of them was As Above, So Below My Standards. Or some shit like that. But yeah, As Above, So Below is this idea done correctly. Instead of Egypt, it's the Paris catacombs, and it's such a really creepy movie. Record, 2008, from Spain, brilliant found footage zombie movie, really cool. They're Watching, 2016, found footage film, deals with witchcraft. Really liked this one. I went in with zero expectations. This ended up being a super creepy and kind of oddly funny movie. I don't know if you've seen They're Watching.
I haven't seen that one. I actually haven't heard of that one.
It might still be on Netflix. It was a few years back, so I don't know. But it seems like one of those movies that, like, once Netflix has it, they forget they have it, and it'll never leave.
Yeah, it's like they forget, and then it disappears in the fucking algorithm.
Yeah,
at some point.
But it's got one of the craziest climaxes I've ever seen, where shit just goes off the wall. And then Willow Creek, 2013, Bigfoot movie. I showed you when I was up. Yeah, this movie's creepy as shit. Very well done in like how they utilize Bigfoot. So those are four found footage films I really like. Paranormal Activity is great. Blair Witch is great, but I like to kind of shine a light on the little ones sometimes.
Yeah, no, you showed me real quick. I'm actually really liking that movie a lot. I'm with you. For the most part, I do like this subgenre. It took me a while because, as you know, I'm a massive Saw fan, and Paranormal Activity effectively did kill the franchise for a while, because it came out in October, which was at the time Saw was coming out in October every year, and that movie made a shit ton movie, and that Saw film that came out that year made significantly less. So, me being a fucking dumb teenager, I think like maybe people are just tired of Saw. Here's this new thing that they want to watch. Put two and two together, right? I just went, it's taken away Saw from me. How dare you? So I had a little animosity at first, but as I got older, I hope wiser, I think at least, um, I grew to really appreciate this subgenre and to an extent a good chunk of the Paranormal Activity franchise. There's a couple films in that franchise I myself just not into. Um, but I think what I like with this subgenre is that you can take it and really go for that realism the most out of any subgenre. That's the ideal, right? Is we want you to think this is real, and how you can play with that. I think yes, you do have your studio films that just they're trying to get a quick buck out of it, and they're not trying. It's lazy and it shows. But especially on the indie scene, you get like some really good stuff where they are experimenting with it and trying to like push the boundaries of what you can do with it. And you've seen that to an extent with things like Unfriended and The Den and movies that actually push it even further on what you would consider found footage. Like they're incorporating computer screens and it's all taking place on Skype. And it's not traditional found footage, but it's definitely within that realm, right? And you can tell it's taking from that to push that realism further. So I think if you get a lot of creative people involved in this, it's one of the better subgenres, and it can be really creepy because of that realism they go with a lot of times. For me, some of my personal favorites, off the top of my head, because I was dumb and didn't do a list, but massive fan of VHS. Specifically, if I were to pick, I'd say 2 is still my personal fucking favorite. What they do to make an anthology found footage film is fucking stellar. The wraparound's okay, but the fucking like actual movies they put in there are fucking good. Very good film. My favorite still being Safe Haven. Holy shit, does that one go places? Another one that I actually saw recently, I saw back in 2020 during the pandemic, The Taking of Deborah Logan. Very good found footage film that actually makes you wonder if like, is she actually possessed? Is it a disease? Like it constantly kind of throws that question at you, like, is it real? Is it not real? Really good fucking movie with, I know if you probably heard that film, you probably know the image has been plastered all over the place, was from that film. So that's a big one for me. And then besides that, like, yeah, I'm into like, if I were to pick a Paranormal Activity film, I'd say either the marked ones has always been a personal favorite found footage film of mine. I think that one just has the most fun the series ever fucking had. And yeah, after that, I'd say something like, obviously the original Paranormal Activity, not the original, I meant Blair Witch Project. I am a fan of the 2016 one. I know a lot of people like to shit heavily on Blair Witch. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it actually just ups everything from the original film and shows a bit more, so it's a little bit more exciting for me. But I do love the original. So yeah, there's a couple that I enjoy.
Nice. I think I've seen all those. Paranormal Activity is going to be, when we finally do tackle that franchise, I feel like half of it's going to be on Filmgazm and half of it's going to be right here.
I mean, when I was doing the math in my head, I was like, because I finally picked up the fucking list, all 6, whatever. I picked up the set for like $15 on Blu-ray. And yeah, I was like, literally like half the franchise is good, considered good by fans across the board. The other half is considered shitty. And I was like, it's because I know the first 3 everyone likes, fans like, and the marked ones. So those are the 4 that are like fan favorites that were actual like liked. And then I would say 4, Ghost Dimension, and now the new one are pretty hated.
Yep. It's them's the breaks. But yeah, well, it's the thing about these movies, this found footage, is they're so easy to make. They're so cheap to make, and they almost always make their money back. So I get the investment, but I do like when they put a little bit more thought into the characters and the story, and we get something worthwhile that I would want to watch again. And that's, my same thought process with every movie is I would want to watch this again.
Yeah. Oh, you know one I like? I just fucking remembered it. Grave Encounters, the first one.
That movie was so fucking creepy.
Yes, that was one I forgot. That's another good small little one that not enough people have seen. If you are like me and you fucking hate those goddamn ghost hunter shows, and this is someone that watches a shit ton of paranormal TV shows, like Paranormal Caught on Camera is playing on my TV right now. Get the sound turned down so you can't hear it. but I do watch all these paranormal shows. I can't get into the fucking ghost hunter type thing. Like, every time, like, did you feel that? No, because I'm watching the fucking TV, you idiot. Did you hear that? No, because again, I'm watching it through a fucking TV. I don't know. I don't see what you see. Like, God damn it. How they play up that in that movie before shit goes sideways. And yes, the ghosts are fucking creepy as hell. Great movie. I know a lot of people hate on the sequel. I don't mind it. It goes a lot more batshit insane. But that first one's really, really good.
Did you catch Host on Shudder 2020?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That was well done.
If you want fun and like a haunted house attraction one, two at the houses, October Built and Hell House LLC are both really good found footage ones.
Cool. We'll keep those in mind. One that took me a while to get on board with was Cloverfield.
Okay. I was on board pretty much the first time I saw it personally.
I didn't care for it the first time because that was my first found footage film, and it gave me motion sickness because I didn't know what to expect. I'd never seen a movie like this before. I saw it at the movies, and I was like, "Oh, this is making me sick." I watched it like 10 years later on Netflix. I was like, "This is pretty damn good. Like this is good. This is creepy. I like this." So, yeah, I got on board with Cloverfield eventually.
Oh, fair enough. That's why I say, like, when there's love put into these films and like they push what you can do with it, they can be really good. It takes love, I think. And then like in this film specifically that we'll be talking about, Pyramid, is the case of that opposite that we talked about, the ones that are getting pushed out by the studio because they can make a quick buck back from it, that just dominated. And we're going to have a fun little thing. We'll talk about some more intent on something fun coming up in this episode.
Before we go further, I do have one more shout out I want to throw, just because it's so, a lot of people probably won't think about this one because it's not a movie. It's an episode of a TV show. Season 7 of the X-Files. They did a crossover with Cops that they called X-Cops. And it was a found footage X-Files episode where they're hunting some sort of shape-shifting creature in this neighborhood in, I think, LA. And it was so creepy and so well done. You never actually see the creature. You just see the aftermath and hear what people thought they saw. But that was probably the beginning. Like, that was probably the first found footage horror anything.
No, there was something, dog, man-eat dog, I think is what it's called.
Man-eat dog. I haven't heard of it.
I mean, it's something, those the 80s for Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I always thought Blair Witch Project was the beginning of this whole thing, but I guess not.
There were films before it, right? So like Cannibal Holocaust was a big one in it, in that it had it in the movie. It still tells like an actual like story, and then it goes, flips back to the found footage segments. I want to say Man Bite Dog, Man Eat Dog. So I'm like, I gotta look up the title again. But one where it's like a crew is documenting a serial killer. You gotta look it up, the title, to get you the actual title. It's supposed to be a really grim, dark, fucked up movie. That was another big one. With Blair Witch, why it just was the most, it was hugely successful. That was the thing. It brought it into such a fucking, to different stratospheres because it was such a huge hit. It was such a big thing that found footage became a much more known commodity. And then Paranormal Activity was significant because it kickstarted the wave that happened. Even though Blair Witch fucking was his hit, it didn't really kickstart a wave of found footage. Like, there wasn't a shit ton of them coming after like there were when Paranormal Activity launched.
Freakiest one I ever saw was the Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Ooh, that was a good one. Yeah,
that's one of the most disturbing films I've ever watched. It's too real.
So like, I'll admit, I don't know if this shows how jaded I am. I wasn't super fucked up by watching that film. I'm just kind of going, okay, I don't see why everyone's freaking out, but that could just be me.
That's just you, because I had to take a shower afterwards. I was like,
yeah, and see, I was fine. But with that said, there was one scene that did really get me, and that's when I think it was a Girl Scout goes to sell him the cookies, and she's in the house, and I was legit like, oh my god, get the fuck out of there, girl, like get out. And then when she leaves, and he uncovers that fucking blanket, and it's the chick acting as the table. Oh my god.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, there's some really powerful acting moments in that film that convinced me. I had to look up the actors afterwards just to confirm that they weren't dead, that this wasn't a snub film. Like, it really got under my skin.
Look, again, I've watched like a lot of fucked up movies, so I don't ever take away if it doesn't get me like that, but I can see why people will get fucked up by that. Like they did a good job making that feel so real.
Very nice. Good. It always feels good to spotlight what the films we talk about on this podcast should have been like.
Exactly. Like I said, this is the exact opposite, but all those films did so well. And again, we got some coming up. We'll talk a little bit more about some more films here. Before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about like the development of this film, mainly because there's not a lot, so I kind of want to just get it out of the way. So this film, what I remember when I was looking up, kind of confirms that for the most part, this was just kind of made secretly. Like there was not a lot of promotion when it was getting made or anything. Like a trailer just kind of came out of nowhere. Aja's name popped up, like, hey, he's producing this new found footage horror film. Here's the trailer. And then the film kind of came out like a month or two after that. Like there was not very much lead up, and that you would think, okay, cool, they're that confident and it's gonna be this huge and people are gonna love it. No. It comes out, it bombs at the box office and gets critically reviled by the critics, which leads me to you in the Rotten Tomato scores and what you would possibly like to bring up with that.
So why is the pyramid here? The pyramid is here because it has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 21% audience score. The consensus reads, poorly lit and thinly writ. The pyramid houses little more than clunky dialogue, amateurish acting, and dusty found footage scares. I'd say that's right on the money.
Yeah. I will say this, not like the worst performances of dialogue I've fucking ever sat through in a horror film, because you know me, I've seen a lot. But at the same time, yeah, it's not good performances. There's not good dialogue. So it's like it's not the worst, but it's also not good.
What bums me out the most is that the premise is so good. It's such a great concept. A pyramid thousands of years earlier than like the Egyptians is discovered, and there's something in there that was locked away. That's incredibly intriguing, and I want to know more. So the fact that this ends up being a pile of shit is really unfortunate.
Yeah, the plot's intriguing. It had Audrey's name attached as producer. It had Dennis O'Hare off of like, American Horror Story, which is how I came to know him, and loving him and his commitment to like whatever he has to do for that show in each season. So I'm thinking, oh shit, there's some good like things attached to this. We'll be fine. No, oh God, no. Like Aja, I don't know if it was like a name only producing or what, but I was amazed that he attached his name to this. The premise is squandered completely, like immediately almost. And Dennis O'Hare, like, he's not terrible, but his character is fucking awful.
Yeah. Nobody ever acts like somebody would in a situation like this. Everyone's like the fact that like when they're trying to escape this pyramid, knowing there's some creature hunting them down, the fact that every 5 minutes they take a minute to explain some archaeology and be like, wow, look at this. Like, no, that's not, I do love that the one cameraman's like, dude, could we not do this right now? Like, he's the only one who's acting like you would.
Yeah, he was actually my favorite character because he's the only one that was like, can we just get out of here? Like why are we doing all this stupid stuff? Yeah, it just, no one acts like a fucking character in this movie. And there's a lot of stuff wrong now. I can't wait to talk about it as we kind of get to our awards. But yeah, there's this I've seen bad horror films, right? And usually what it is, it's like complete ineptitude from the very beginning to the very end. And this is a prime fucking example of that complete ineptitude, from like the found footage, which I'm putting in fucking air quotes right now, to weird decisions made by characters. Again, having someone like even Dennis O'Hare, who's actually acting pretty good, but you give him the most unlikable character you can. And you're probably thinking, well, he plays unlikable characters in American Horror Story. And you're correct. But he makes them fucking likable in American Horror Story. He knows how to do it in that show. So I don't know why he couldn't do it fucking here. And just, if it's not, and then outside of him, forgettable characters, and oh God, the fucking just look, spoiler warnings for those of you who are so curious on seeing this movie, but fucking Anubis. Oh.
Yeah, I will have a lot to say about Anubis when we get to our awards here. But yeah,
Same.
what a terrible way to disrespect a god. And I'm like, we've seen Anubis done correctly. Look at the Mummy films. Like, while not a character, his presence is certainly felt. And it's just, this is the best you could do. Unreal. I mean, how much does a mummy costume cost? You could do a mummy thing, make more sense.
The fact that the mummy from the 30s looks better than your fucking Anubis in a 2014 film is sad.
Anubis looks like the way Anubis would look in a PS2 game in 2003.
God. Sometimes I'm thinking of God of War. Like, I'm just wrecking him in God of War right now. Take that statement how you will if you haven't played God of War. But yeah, that's it. That's legit. Like, there's not much on this film. It is literally like it got made successfully. That much was successful, got made. But it came out, it bombed, no one liked it, and it quickly vanished from sight. I don't think even Aja talks about this movie. So
aren't those the best movies to talk about on a show like this, though? The movies that had such high hopes for the studio did so fucking horrible that they buried it. And here we are digging up its corpse and kicking it.
I almost want to be like, it was Fox. Yeah, it was Fox. Be like, hey, look, Fox, we found this. Actually, I don't think they care now that they got Disney. Like, oh, whatever. You got Disney money now.
Yeah, if anybody knows how to bury the bodies, it's fucking Disney.
Yeah. If anything, they'd be like, we will really bury this fucking thing for you guys. Don't worry. Well, in spirit of the fact that, one, there's just not a lot of shit on this movie, and two, we're talking bad found footage horror film here, I came up with a fun thing earlier we texted you about, and we are going to pick our top 5 personal worst found footage horror films, specifically horror. One, to narrow that down, and two, just in the fact that this is a horror film. I didn't want to sit there and be like, well, let's think outside the box. I know there's shit like Chronicle, and so not that Chronicle's bad. I actually do like that one, but it's obviously not horror.
There are so few non-horror found footage films. Like, it's not even a thing, really. Like, Chronicle, maybe like Profile are the only ones I can think of.
It happens like once in a blue moon. Even Profile, like, I would say, is adjacent.
Yeah.
So it happens once in a blue moon, but not often. So with that said, top 5 worst found footage horror films. How about you start off, Connor?
Sounds good. My number 5, I saw my number 5 and my number 4 at the movies. So there was a little extra burn that not only did I not like the movie, it cost me financially. Number 5 is Apollo 18. Again, a great premise. I think this came out in might have been 28. I don't fucking know. 2016, 2015. Take your pick. I don't care.
It came out.
Yeah, it came out. Trust me, this is a movie. Of all the movies that have ever been made, this is one of them. It's got a great premise. Astronauts go to the moon. It's been so long since I saw this. It's a mission to the moon that they're claiming was, filmed but never released to the public. And while on the moon, these astronauts are attacked by some kind of alien presence. And I'm like, okay. And what lands the movie here is that the aliens, spoiler alert, turn out to be rocks that come to life, like alien space crabs, basically. And all menace went right out the fucking window. And I was like, are you kidding me? I just watched an hour and a half of astronauts fighting rocks on the moon. Are you fucking kidding me? So
I've not seen this, but wow.
Yeah, it's a loss.
So yeah, I stayed away from this one because I heard it was bad. So I think that was like when I was just getting burnt out by the amount of found footage coming out. So I was just like, oh my God.
I took my cousin and my grandpa because they liked horror movies, and I'm like, this looks really cool. Trust me. The critics don't know what they're talking about. Trust me on this. And they both were like, you did this to us. Like, you brought us here. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Yeah. I did it to them again later on when we went and saw Dumb and Dumber 2. So they don't go to the movies anymore.
Really good at picking movies for them.
Oh boy. Yeah. So Apollo 18, number 5.
All right. My number 5, it's honestly kind of interchangeable with my number 4 because they both kind of deal with the same thing. And I hated both of them pretty equally when they came out. Number 5 was a film that I also went to the theater to see for, I can't remember. I don't think it was your birthday. I think it was someone else. It was for someone's birthday. But that was The Devil Inside.
That was for my birthday.
Okay, it was for your birthday. So you did this.
I turned 17 and I was allowed to go see R-rated movies by myself. So we all went to see The Devil Inside.
That's right. You
my
did
birthday's
this
in January, and shit movies come out in January.
So this all loops back to you and your story. You did this to me, you son of a bitch.
Oh, I haven't thought about this movie in a long time. Let it rip.
Yep. I remember being incredibly bored throughout the movie. And that, like, what is it? That's that one lady they used to promote this shit out of the film with the weird eyes. No, with the weird eyes. She's in the movie for a fucking second. She's insignificant. Not even like, it's like a quick, like, oh, what was that? And then they go on with their lives. Like, incredibly insignificant to the plot. And then the biggest thing, the biggest fucking reason other than being just boring and just another fucking exorcism film. And that is literally the one subgenre that just cannot seem to do anything different. And I've stopped caring about that subgenre. But it doesn't have a fucking ending. It goes to black and it tells you if you want the rest of the ending, go to this website and find and see the rest of it. I'm like, no, go fuck yourself. Just film an ending and put it in the movie that I just paid for.
What arrogance to be like, you want to finish this movie you didn't like? Go check out my website. Come on.
And I don't think that director's exactly done a lot of great stuff since then. I think it's William Brent Bell that fucking did that movie too.
Is he the fucker who did Separation last year?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that movie. That was terrible. That was back when I was seeing everything for sneak preview, and I went and saw that, and I was like, "This is horrific." The best thing about my day here is the chips and not like in queso I got from the movies. It's like I was so focused on that because the movie was so shit. I was like, "This is really good," but this is terrible. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah. This yeah. Number 5, Devil Inside. Just oh boy.
And these are the best of the worst for our list, so it's all downhill from here. My number 4. Yeah. My number 4 is 2014, Devil's Due.
Holy shit, that's my number 4 also.
Huzzah! What a boring piece of shit. Like you said, the exorcism subgenre is the same movie every single fucking time, especially in found footage. And this one was so dull and forgettable. I don't even remember the movie. I just know I fucking hated it. I know I gave it a 2 on the website. I think you did as well.
I did, because I remember this was like promoted to shit. Like they were like, you gotta check this one out. You won't believe it. Because it was like the baby is possessed or something like that. Something stupid. And I was like, I fell for it. I was like, all right, let's do it. I remember I watched it and I was just sitting there going, wow, this is bad. I'm like, what the fuck? I remember when it ended, that sense of just elation I had when the credits, I was like, oh my God, it's over. Oh, thank God.
A woman getting mysteriously pregnant and like by a demonic baby and overseen by a cabal of Satanists. Gee, never seen that before.
Yeah, not since, Rosemary's Baby or anything.
It's the same movie. It's a blatant ripoff. It's not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? You want to know who directed this film? Matt Bettinelli Open and Tyler Gillette.
No.
Ring a bell?
No way.
The guys who gave me one of my favorite films in Ready or Not recently, and one of the best fucking sequels to Scream and the new Scream.
What happened between 2014 and 2018? Like, did they take a writing class? Like, what happened?
I don't know.
There's no way that's the same guys. Holy shit.
I don't know.
I can't believe that. Wow. I'm glad they figured out their direction. because they're really good now. Scream was great, but this
Ready or Not was great. Yeah.
If this had been it, if Ready or Not hadn't happened, if it was just like Devil's Due to Scream, I probably wouldn't have seen it. I would have just been like, don't bother. It's probably going to suck. Look at their track record. That's crazy.
I didn't even know because they don't talk about this film.
I wouldn't. If I made that piece of shit, I would bury all evidence that I was ever involved. Especially if I'm trying to get the reins to the Scream franchise. Wow. Damn.
Yeah. This, God, I don't know what happens. This movie is incredibly boring, and nothing that you haven't seen in another fucking exorcism film before. I just remember really fucking despising this when I watched it. I think I did give it to you. I think it's one of those ones I just kind of rant in my review. If you ever actually read my reviews on the website and you see the movies I hate, it's really like less objective, thoughtful criticism, and it just turns into rants. Good example is recent Grudge film. I think at one point I put in all caps that they don't put the fucking ghost in the movie. I think I like all capped it because I was at that point just angry as I was writing it.
I read my review. My review is one paragraph long. Let me go ahead and read it right now. This movie was awful. It had virtually no scares and the story wasn't resolved. Apart from a few disturbing visuals, this movie was very disappointing. Usually my reviews are longer, but I don't really have anything else to say. It's a terrible movie that I hope will be forgotten quickly. Enough said. 2014 Connor knew what was up.
Somehow out of that, we got two of the most exciting directors in horror since then.
Can't believe maybe it's the screenplay because they didn't write it. Lindsay Devlin wrote it. So maybe that's the person we should be condemning here. Oh boy. All right. So that was my 4 and your 4.
Yes, it was. So we can go ahead and move to your 3.
My 3 is a film we watched together and both were like, what the fuck is this? The Gallows, 2015.
We have overlap, but I'll get into that later.
This is a ghost movie about a haunted high school and some play that got somebody killed at one point. Now their haunted ass haunts the auditorium, and a bunch of people break into school at night and are like, hey, let's do weird shit with the auditorium or some shit. And this ghost starts fucking them up. It's forgettable as hell. Somehow there's a sequel, The Gallows Act 2, that I have not watched and don't plan to.
It was like filmed in secret and just came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, nothing screams profit like a sequel to a hated movie filmed in secret with no promotion. Good luck making your money back on that one. I remember the only thing I really remember about watching this one is that it was New Year's Eve. And this was like the last film of 2015 I watched. I was thinking like, what a letdown to end the year with this piece of shit.
I remember we were both just like struggling to get through this movie.
Yeah, I think we took a few snack breaks. Like we went back and forth to it. We were just non-committed. It did not draw us in. And
no. Like I said, I'll talk more on my end of my feelings when I was watching it, because we do have overlap on that one.
I figured we would.
Until then, though, my number 3 begins as I would say is one of the things I kind of despise the most, which is a disappointing sequel. And not just disappointing, like, it just wasn't as good as this one. This is bad. That'd be VHS Viral.
Yeah, we got overlap, but not yet.
Okay. I figured, yeah. So for me, like I said, I'm you know me, I fucking love the VHS franchise. Especially the first 2, and I did really enjoy 94. That was a very good return to form that I wanted. I remember being so excited for this movie because I was like, oh my God, we're getting a 3rd one. Holy shit. Hell yeah. I was on the high of 2 because 2 is a near perfect film for me. Like, that one is so good. And I was just like, bring it on. Let's do this. Let's see if they get it even better for Viral. And they don't. First off, there's significantly less shorts. I think it was only like 3 or 4 fucking segments. 3, yeah. 3. And the first two had at least 5, I believe. Like they made it count for that 2-hour runtime they had. They made it worth it. And all 3 of the segments are incredibly disappointing and not fun to watch. And then the wraparound, which it's like almost as if they knew the wraparound wasn't really the strongest thing in the first 2 films, and they tried even less here. And like, and especially now that 94 came out, which I guess technically is them going back in time, because viral ends with the idea that like the tapes have gone viral and it's infecting the whole world. But then like I guess that got so shitted on that 94 was just like, we'll just go back in time. It's fine. We're not gonna wraparound's a cult this time. Fuck that. Like, so it's just like, yeah, this film was, I remember just like when the credits rolled, sitting on my couch in utter disappointment. I was just like, what the fuck did I just sit through?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we watched that one together. I was staying over at your place specifically to watch that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think we watched The Babadook as a palate cleanser because we wanted to watch something good.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. We were like, dude, viral's out. Let's watch it. And that was just like, oh my God. We ended up watching The Babadook, which we had a lot more fun with. I think we kept making fun of the kid too throughout The Babadook because he was just so fucking annoying. I like The Babadook. Just FYI on that one, but that kid is fucking annoying, The Babadook.
Yeah. We'll talk about The Babadook, but not on this podcast. That's a good movie. Yeah, as I said, I will have more to say about Viral a little bit later. So I think my 2.
Yeah.
All right. Like you said, a disappointing sequel is always worse, especially when it's so light years away from the quality of the previous films. But this franchise had a steadily declining quality over time. And at the time, this was the finale, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. What the fuck? This is so over the course of this franchise, it went from a basic haunted house to a family with a history of demon deals to witchcraft. And then this movie opened up fucking time travel into it. And I'm like, what happened here? This is such an easy concept. Couple are haunted by a demon. It fucks with them for an hour and a half. Ending ambiguous. There you go. That's all you need. You don't even need a script. But they had to get so over the top convoluted. It's not even scary at this point. It's just confusing and weird and off-putting. And they tried to, I think, is this the one where they used a like Xbox Kinect?
No, that's in the 4th one.
Okay.
But stand by on that one.
Well, that one sucks too. But this one sucks so much. It pissed me off. All right.
But yeah, no, I took a while to watch this one actually. So I heard how terrible it was, and I was like, oh my God. And I finally sat there and I was like, yep, they were right. Like, yeah, I think what pissed me off at this one was that it was touted as like we're ending it here. Which I mean, even I knew like, well, okay, you're ending it for now, but there's gonna be no one. But how are you gonna conclude what you have built up? You know what I mean? Like that's always how I approach it when they even say it's a final one. I'm like, how are you at the very least going to conclude what you built up, but just that little bit of nugget to continue if you can?
Has any film franchise ever actually made good on that? The final one. Has that ever actually meant anything?
In horror, no. Yeah, I remember watching this just going, I was like, how you guys I'm like, I'm confused on how you're trying to fucking conclude this because you're not. Like, you're leaving it open. And then the other big thing was like, we're going to explain finally. And I'm like, you're not explaining shit. I still don't understand the fucking storyline, how it's all coming together. And then the biggest thing for me was that, and this was again something they fucking touted before it came out, was they're going to see Toby. And I thought, for me, being the horror fan I am of the camp that's less is more. That you do not need to show me for it to be creepy. Because 9 times out of 10, especially like, you know, I'm 29 now, so 9 times out of 10, like, I have been burnt by the whole, like, we're going to show you what it looks like. And then I see it, I'm like, that looks like shit. Why would you fucking do that? Why did you die? And we'll get into it in the fucking pyramid too, people. But I'm like, why would you God fucking damn it. Like, it's not scary. I'm just taken out of the goddamn movie. And it happens here. They show Toby, and I just sit there going, so this is the day I'm supposed to be scared of. This fucking thing for like what 6 movies at that point? Like, right. Okay.
I forgot about that. That they, yeah, at the end of the movie, we get to see Toby, and he's like a horrifically CGI'd typical demon thing that just does not feel threatening. I remember that now. Yeah, apparently I blocked most of this movie out.
Nope. I remember watching it just going, wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go to bed now. Like,
shit. All right.
Yeah. With that said, the reason I told you to hold off, my number 2 for the one I picked in this fucking franchise, Paranormal Activity 4. I'll explain why. So with the Ghost Dimension, I hate that movie, but it's so goddamn gonzo. And what it's doing, I'm just like, okay, whatever, fuck it. I'll leave it out of the worst because it fucking goes for it, if anything. And I almost picked Next to Kin because I was like, I really fucking did not like seeing through Next to Kin. But that ending is the only reason it fucking saved. It saved itself. Was the ending when the cop comes in, the creepy, that part was legitimately creepy and actually kind of like got me. So 4 I ended up going with because outside of that, I like the first 3 a lot. I can sit through the first 3. I enjoy, especially 3. I've always been a big fan of the prequel one. I think it has like some of the best scares in the franchise. And I really liked what they did with the marked ones, and like that went gonzo with it too, but it worked in my opinion. I really enjoyed what marked ones did. But with this one, it's boring. That's the thing for me with this one. You know, that's why it's the worst, because it's so goddamn boring to sit through. The characters just I didn't connect with any of the characters. The scares at this point were so fucking just boring to sit through and not like scary. And yeah, it had that whole Connect thing, which 1 just didn't work as a scare, and 2 just dates your fucking movie now, because even at the time it came out, it was dated because Connect wasn't a huge hit. I don't know how many fucking Xbox owners who were already trying to convince themselves the 360 was a good console. Fuck off, Red Ring of Death. But then you're like, even the ardent Xbox fans could not fucking tell you with a straight face Connect was a good idea. So by putting it in the movie, it just dated the shit out of it upon release because no one fucking liked Connect.
I don't even remember Paranormal Activity 4, so it didn't make my list. I couldn't tell you one scene of that movie, but I know I saw it.
Yeah, I remember like and the thing is too, you sit through that movie thinking like, how does this even connect to what we got? You know what I mean? And it's the whole fact that like, oh, okay, she lives across the street now from Katie and Tyler from the second film, I believe was his name. Or like the boy from the second film that gets stolen. She lives across the street. They move into the house across the street from them.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was like how they could connect this family to it. But nothing fucking really happens. And even then, when something does happen, because I do remember the ending, and the whole time, all I could think was like, she could have gotten out of this had she just stayed the fuck out of that house. So the whole ending was like she goes to the house, and then like she ends up getting like attacked by Katie and the Coven of Witches at the end. But then it cuts to like fucking black right in the credits roll. I remember just sitting there going, had you just stayed out of that house, you would have been fine.
Yeah, but then we don't have a movie.
Right, but like I'm saying, like the first 3 films, especially, and even the marked ones, I think one of the things I liked about was that they found a way to make it where like this wasn't any escapable situation. Like those characters were tied to whatever the fuck was going on. They couldn't get out of it. They were part of the fucking thing. And then you watch this one, you're like, had you just fucking not gone to the house and stayed out of this whole scenario, you literally would have been okay. You just wouldn't be a nosy teenager.
I'm going to have to sit down and watch all these again because it has been a long time since I watched any of these. And I have that same set that you have. So I think, Paranormal Activity will end up on Filmgazm at some point, either by the book or one of us. So it'll happen. So I think I'll wait for that.
Yeah. I'll wait till we do it for the show. I would say for a new one to come out, but considering the last film went straight to Paramount Plus after it was supposed to get theatrical release, which again, that's why I was very nervous about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. and it got put to Paramount Plus, and then its reception made me kind of go, this franchise is probably officially dead. Like I really don't see it coming back after this. It's not like how there is a Saw in the works right now. That's still trucking along, but I've heard nothing since this film came out. I think interest fell drastically after the last one.
Well, it's the ultimate cash grab horror franchise, as far as I'm concerned, because they can do whatever they want. You slap the name Paranormal Activity on it, someone's going to go see it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I remember I was actually kind of curious when they first announced next game. I was like, well, how are they going to continue this after the ending we got with fucking Ghost mentioned? And I remember watching this going, oh, they're just going to ignore everything's going to be a soft reboot. So you could have just called it Nexican and not called it Paranormal Activity, and you would have been fine. But okay, this is how we're doing. Again, I still say that 4 is probably my least favorite because of how incredibly goddamn boring it is. That is why I picked 4.
Fair enough. Well, you should know by now, my number 1 is VHS Viral. This movie fucking sucks, and it is the low point of a pretty decent franchise. Might as well go through the 3 stories, give a little bit on those. Dante the Great. It's got some, I remember it had something to do with like a magician who's terrible. I don't even remember. I remember that like he was a magician. I don't remember the details. Parallel Monsters. I'm going off my review from 2015 here because thankfully I wrote all this down. There's some kind of like people have like demon genitals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Bone Storm, which is basically Jackass with monsters. So that's, after 2 movies that seemed wholly original and really creepy and unnerving, to have this piece of shit kind of, finalize what at the time was a trilogy. I was like, what a goddamn letdown. It never got worse for found footage from there. And that's probably because I've never seen Blair Witch 2. But this is the lowest point of found footage film for me. VHS Viral.
That's fair. Yeah. Like I said, I really hate this. Another thing for me was like with almost all the films, I think minus this one, a lot of the directors attached have gone on to do like really cool things. I mean, the Radio Silence guys they worked with in the VHS franchise, like what they're doing now. Ty West obviously has fucking his new horror film X coming out. I think next month. I want to say March. Yeah. So it had a lot of talent. I can't recall who the fuck worked on fucking Viral. So I did not like Viral.
Yeah, I doubt they went on to do anything of note.
Yeah. But that means this should also be a process of elimination with my overlap familiar. But number 1 for me, the low point found footage film to this day is, well, actually, what we talk about today might beat it, just maybe. But as of now, The Gallows. I'm glad you didn't mention it because I was going to wait till I brought it up. But this both shows this movie proved how long I've been watching fucking horror films and how incredibly lazy this was. But if you recall, I called every goddamn scare in this movie as it played out.
I remember that, yeah.
I was 100 for 100. Like, right, for an hour and a half. And it started, I'll never forget, when they're doing the interview outside the locker. And we're watching it, and the locker fucking opens by itself. And he goes to look. I remember I looked at him and I was like, watch. Someone close right now. And as soon as I said that, the thing fucking slammed close as if it hurt me. I was like, this is the movie we're getting for the next hour and a half. And I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just you being really tuned into horror or them just not giving a shit about being original.
It was both. Because I can still I do it occasionally when I watch a film, like, and even when I go see a big release film, I'll be sitting in theater like, okay, they're going to do it now. And they do it, but I can still enjoy the movie. If it's a good movie, it doesn't necessarily take anything away. Because I understand going like, well, I've seen this shit. I know what to look. I've been to film school. I know what to look for. Just how my brain's wired. Sometimes they get me, like, that fucking sequence in Scream where they kept thinking you're going to fucking have Ghostface pop out when the kid's in the kitchen. That was brilliant. That was a fucking brilliant scene because it fucking got me. But yeah, no, in this one, like it's a mixture of that and the fact that they're just lazy. I mean, this film was cliched the whole way through. The villain, I think his name was Charlie, was like the name of the villain. Awful fucking villain. Just not someone that's gonna stand out. Like I was surprised when I saw that they made a sequel to this film called The Gallows Act 2. Just so you know the title they're going for here. Act 2. I hated sitting through this, and we did a palate cleanser after because it was bad.
Do you happen to remember what the palate cleanser was?
No, I don't.
It's been 7 years, so I wouldn't expect it, but I was curious because I do remember, we both needed to watch something good.
Yeah, it was like, was it Tropic Thunder?
Fuck it, might as well have been.
I don't think I was more happy to see a fucking film. And in my life, I was like, oh, thank God it's over. It's over. And I have to worry about again. At the time, I'm like, they're never going to make a sequel. I was incredibly wrong.
Well, these are all films that we will, I'm sure, do on this podcast at some point and have to revisit. So here's a little tease of what's to come in the future.
Oh, yeah. These all qualify for this show, unfortunately.
Let's recap. My number 5, Apollo 18. Number 4, Devil's Due. Number 3, The Gallows. Number 2, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Number 1, VHS Viral.
For me, number 5, Devil Inside. Number 4, Devil's Due. Number 3, VHS Viral. 2, Paranormal Activity 4. Number 1, The Gallows.
Nice.
So, with that said, now that we've had a little bit of fun with other movies, because the very scant info on the production of this film, let's move on to specifically shitting on this film and go into our awards. So, first up, we have the Zack Snyder, who I should point out had a update on his space epic this week. Concept art, just so you know, buddy.
Good for him. Good for him. He can do whatever he wants. Doesn't mean I have to pay any goddamn attention to it.
And a cast update as well. Charlie Hunnam. You got Charlie goddamn Hunnam in this movie.
Well, he doesn't make the best choices, does he? He was in that King Arthur movie.
He was in Pacific Rim, original. He made a good choice there. Don't you shit on the first Pacific Rim. You can shit on the sequel all you want, but the first one's awesome.
I'm not going to shit on Pacific Rim. I'm going to shit on Zack Snyder because I'm tired of him.
Okay, fair enough. But yes, the worst scene. What was yours in this fucking film?
Honestly, the Anubis reveal. When we finally get to see the old whippersnapper who's been making all this ruckus. The buildup to this god, to this monster that the Egyptians locked away in a pyramid they buried beneath the sand. I was looking forward to seeing something unforgettable. Instead, I get a terrible CGI'd like PlayStation villain, and not even like a main villain, like a side character you kill in the freaking tutorial. He looked horrific. He looked terrible. I was not like all menace completely went out the window. I didn't give a shit. I was like, all right, I guess they can escape this guy, no problem. I feel like I could. I don't believe he's there. He's a computer game.
Yeah.
He's the best you got.
I'm going to elaborate more on this because I roughly picked the same thing. I wrote the entire climax thanks to the lighting magically being improved so we can see this terrible CGI creature. So yes, it's pretty much like roughly the same thing. Like the whole end of this film, seeing that creature, or again, a film that did have, I agree, it was pretty badly lit. I don't know why they chose to be so natural, the lighting, but it was shit. It was so hard to see. And I got fucking currents this time in my apartment that I can close, then do shit. But yeah, they light it up just enough for you to see, and he pops into frame, And yeah, you look at them, and I remember just sitting there, I had the same thought. What you said about the game comparison, I was sitting there going, "Why does he look like a PlayStation 2 creation?" Like
Yep.
the vibes out, guys. Like games have better graphics than what I'm watching right now. Like I've seen what the new God of War looks like on fucking trailers. Like it looks better than this piece of shit.
I think if they just gotten a tall actor and made put some effort into makeup, they could have made this look really freaky.
Yeah, there was one specific scene that I will talk about later that I think is the only. Well, no, I won't. I lied. Yeah, no, I'm right. Sorry, I lied about my lie. There's one specific scene where the creature doesn't look terrible, and I was kind of like, okay, if you light it this way, it works, but they don't stick with that. They stick with saying, here's all of the light, and here is our creature that looks like absolute dog shit.
Also, is like, what is he? Like, he's supposed to be Anubis, but like, is he a god? Is he an alien? Like, is he a mutation? What is this thing?
Something tied to cats, because he had a lot of cat allies.
Yeah, I guess he did. What the hell?
I don't know. We both have seen our fair share of horror films, and I've seen my fair share, obviously. I've seen some shitty villain reveals. This has to make us some of the worst I've watched in a villain reveal, where it's just like I'm watching like, why would you you didn't have the money for the CGI, so why would you fucking even try?
Yep. I would have done something better. They had the idea of like the poison air. They could have had that like be hallucinatory, and there isn't actually anything in there.
Yeah, I would have been down for that. That was actually explored in that video game, Man of Medan. It was like gases that were making them hallucinate. Like I would have been down for that. Because yeah, I don't look. So kind of like something I want to kind of bring up, like the whole like CGI versus practical, right? You hear it all the fuck time in the horror community. Whatever works for the budget you got, and for the story you're trying to tell. Ultimately, I do think because typically the lower budgets on horror films, typically, there's fucking exceptions out there. You should go practical because it's going to look better for that budget. But if you do make that horror film for some reason that can give you the CGI of like Transformers quality, and you need to bring a creature to life that way, fucking go for it. As long as it can look good.
It's all about what makes sense for the film and what works with the aesthetic. And this was just so opposite everything else we've seen.
Yeah. It was like it didn't work for the budget. It didn't work. It just didn't work. That said, let's talk about our next category, which kind of apparently critics pointed out that they hated, right? What's in the dialogue? So for us, the Ed Wood, the worst line or lines.
I only have one. And honestly, this was hard to get because while the script isn't great, I don't think the dialogue is horrendous, but there are moments of like, is this really the right thing to say at this moment? Yeah,
I'm with you. The script wasn't great, but the dialogue wasn't. I've heard worse dialogue in other horror films. I really have, in good horror films, honestly.
Well, mine comes from Fitzy, and it's right when they find the hidden passage to like Anubis's lair or whatever. And for such a giant pyramid, it does seem to be fairly easy to get around. And like everything they need is like within walking distance. I thought that was interesting. Fitzy says, "This doesn't look like Egypt stuff you find in the British Museum, eh, guys?" It's that little "eh, guys" that ruined it for me. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Fitzy. We don't need your. They don't care what you
I could just see like turn like Fitzy, shut the fuck up. Just stop it.
Surprised there wasn't more of that. I would have been saying that. I would have killed him just because I could and I could get away with it.
I would have thrown him in the pit of spikes. Yeah. And out you go, Fitzy. You're done.
He pushed her, and that never comes up again.
Yeah, they just kind of gloss over that. I don't even think he brings it up. When they come over, I'm like, oh, we're just going to talk about the part where you accidentally ran into her and caused this.
And then he tries to have a badass moment of like, you know what? I'm going to face this thing because I'm going to die on my terms. Like, that is so out of character from the weak dumbass we've gotten to know over the course of this movie. Now he's fucking Rambo. Are you kidding me?
Right, just for him to, like, get grabbed and then his head like walked on.
Yeah, good one. I was
Good.
laughing. Like that's a classic Anubis. Good one. That's a knee slapper right there.
Good job, Anubis.
Yeah, that was one of the many Fitzy lines I could have picked.
Yeah, he had a lot of them. I won't lie, I was able to pull two, even then. One's because of delivery that I thought wasn't that great, and one's because I'm like, why would this be relevant? So the first one is the relevant comment. When they first fall into that first fucking floor, and that one lady, I forget her fucking name, but the one that gets pushed into the spikes by Fitzy.
Sunny.
Sunny.
Documentary lady.
Yeah, she sees that there's like a hole that goes up, and she's like, "Oh, I can climb that." And the line that got me when Fitzy asks, "Was like, are you sure?" She goes, "I've been rock climbing my entire life." I'm like, something about when I heard that, I'm like, why is that relevant? You're not rock climbing.
I almost picked that. I remember thinking, like, that's a weird thing to say in this situation.
Yeah, I'm like, first off, weird thing to say. Second off, you're not technically rock climbing, dumbass. Like, it's a circle. You have to do that. You have to do that fucking thing. It's all about core strength on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Where you have to push your body enough against the wall with your legs and climb up.
And also, her surviving that fall with like no injury was kind of ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that was super ridiculous. She would have been dead. And I think she fell on Fitzy. She fell on someone, I think.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah, so that was my why would you say that line. My next one is simply because of I just thought the delivery was incredibly poor and it stuck out. And that's when he finds the first half of his stupid little like rover. I forget the guy's name as well. Like I forget most of their names, I'm not gonna lie. And he delivers, "I'm dead. I'm freaking dead." The way he delivered that, which I thought was supposed to be like this big anguish, like he's sad, his life's work, they're going to destroy him at work when he gets out of this. And yet he delivered it like, "Yeah, I'm dead." Like I'm dead. It's broken. I'm like, I'm not feeling your anguish here, buddy. I felt more anguish when the fucking rock fell on his leg that looked like it actually just fell on him, but whatever.
Yeah. Once more with feeling. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around.
I don't know why I thought of the Buffy episode like right when you said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my line. With that said, let's go to the next thing that critics fucking destroyed apparently in this, and that is our Steven Seagal. Not that they destroyed him. Well, they destroyed him.
He destroyed
but, you know, yeah. Our stand-in for reverse performance.
James Buckley as Fitzy.
Wow, you like no hesitation.
No hesitation at all. Within 20 minutes, I was like, yeah, I don't like this guy. This movie does not need a comic relief, and everything he says is unnecessary and takes me out of the situation. It's ridiculous. He's saying dumbass shit. Like, this room smells like shit, doesn't it? Like, just things like that. Like, shut the fuck up, Fitzy. We don't need your input. We don't want your input. Shut up, point the camera, and just wait for your death because it's going to happen.
We know it smells like shit, Fitzy. It's called cat shit.
Yeah. It's Anubis shit.
Yeah. And what's funny is that you hate him and you know his death's coming, but it happens at the end of the movie. So you sit with him throughout the whole movie.
I know. You know, that's a thing I noticed in most found footage films. The cameraman is like, he becomes the comic relief, and most of the time it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't care for that.
The best use of it, my favorite cameraman in all of found footage history now, is the one from The Taking of Deborah Logan. The one that the first sign of what the fuck happens in that house, he packs his shit up, gets it all in the car, and leaves their ass. And never comes back. Smartest goddamn character in horror movie history. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was dying. Like, I forget what she did. She did something like, I think it was like float off the fucking kitchen counter. She did something weird. And he just goes, "Nope, I'm out." And they're like No, come back. He's like, nope, you guys have fun. I'm gone. And he fucking leaves.
I wish there were more characters like that in horror who were just like saw something horrific and are like, this is not my problem. I'm not gonna deal with this and just fucked off.
Yep.
And then like they don't come back at the end to die. They don't come back to save anybody. You do not see them again.
No, they go home, they go play their video games, or watch movies, they go live their life. They're like, nope, I'm gonna go back to not weird shit happening in my life.
Yeah, but Fitzy just had to have the last word. He had to keep commenting on shit he didn't understand and trying to make people laugh in situations that were scary. And it's unnecessary, and it removes you from any sort of fear you might be getting from this movie, if any.
Yeah, I'm about to say I had no fear anyway, but he didn't help.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of had a tough time because again, like, yeah, it's bad performances, but not the worst I've seen in a horror film. Fighting stretches the imagination. But I also went with the who turned out to be our main chick, because I'm not gonna lie, I was really confused on who the fuck the main character was, because this film does not establish that very well. And I went with the actress is Ashley Henshaw, but Dennis O'Hare's fucking daughter. Again, whatever her fucking name was. That's literally how much I did not like to. I don't remember characters' names.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, usually if I can remember characters' names. Like, it's not hard, but
I want to say Holly, but that's probably not right.
I don't think it's right. All I know is that she wasn't
Nora. That's what it was.
Okay. She was not a good lead protagonist. She's boring. She's uncharismatic. Like, just there's no good goddamn reason for me to like watch her proceed. And again, the film essentially confused like who was the main character at first anyway, that I thought it was Sunny. I was like, okay, it's gonna be Sunny, but then Sunny dies. I'm like, oh, okay, it's this chick. And yeah, it just this actress, I saw that she's still doing stuff, so she can work, but not that great here in my opinion.
Well, I mean, how many times is she going to lay next to an open hole that has the Egyptian god of the dead down there?
That bugged the fuck out of me. She did it every time where she'd make it up the ladder and then stop and lay down. I'm like, why? I'm like, keep fucking moving till you're out in the open. What are you doing?
I didn't buy her as an archaeologist at all. Like, there's that weird scene where like the dude's creeping on her in the tent when she's like half naked that we don't need.
No, and especially because it's revealed that they're like hating boyfriend girlfriend. So I'm like, why are you being creepy? You've been inside her. I don't even know why you need to send the fucking rover in there, bud. Like, I'm gonna naturally assume you've explored her body in that tent physically. I don't know why the rover needs to be involved.
Well, if there's one thing we learned that he likes to do, it's exploring dark caves with his rover. So I'm sure that has something to do with it.
God damn it.
He likes exploring areas where man has not tread with his rover before he ever explores on his own.
It's telling me something. I feel like man has stepped foot on that before. Not saying she's a whore, I'm saying like she's a grown adult. I don't think he was like her first.
She's a grad student. The well is not untapped.
Yeah. Again, not slut shaming here on being on the bed, just saying with probably facts for a grad student.
College, go nuts.
Yeah. With that, before we just dig a hole here, which we're kind of all with the title of this one, the Michael Bay. I just realized, like, no, we're digging a hole with Michael Bay and what he's what's come out with him recently. God damn it. Worst filmmaking decision. I'm not gonna lie. Either we're gonna have the exact same thing or not. So I'm curious. Go ahead, buddy.
This was super easy for me because this has bothered me for years. Why did they try to make this a hybrid of found footage and traditional? Why does it have a soundtrack?
Okay, yep. We have the same thing. I put continued use of breaking the found footage element via both what you just said with scope and the cinematic camera angles.
Yeah, pick a lane. You cannot have both. It completely tears this movie apart. There's no reason for that. It's ridiculous. It bothers me, and it just makes for a shitty viewing experience.
Yeah, and what's weird is that Paranormal Activity next came to the same fucking thing. So it's so weird that that's what they're thinking is going to evolve it forward. Clearly, is we'll just kind of break it. And I'm like, no, based off this film and Paranormal Activity, do not break it because it doesn't work. Like I'm tuning in for a found footage film, and it's so fucking jarring when not only is there a fucking score, but you didn't turn around and do shots clearly meant to be traditional filmmaking shots that someone's not there filming it for found footage. And it's like, well, wait, why are we doing that? And what's worse is that the pyramid, at least Paranormal Activity, like it happened here and there, but for the most part, it was like mostly found footage. They just felt there was just random moments they felt the need to break it. This one increased its breaking as the film progressed. At first, it was like found footage the whole way, and as it progresses, and they clearly didn't think the part three of like, oh, we're killing characters off. We only have one cameraman and one guy with the camera. They didn't think that through. So then they're like, oh shit. So they start breaking it more and more and more and more to the point that the ending is pretty much just a cinematic, like traditional cinematically filmed ending.
Yeah, it's horrendous. It bothered me a lot. I wrote it down before I even started watching the movie. So I had seen this before back in 2014. I Netflixed it because I'm like, ooh, pyramid horror movie. I'm intrigued. And I was like, fuck, why did I watch this? So yeah, I this has been in my head for a long time. I'm glad I could finally express these frustrations.
Yeah, I don't look any feature for fucking found footage films coming out from filmmakers. Stop trying to break it. Like that is not the way to push this subgenre forward in any way. I'm glad there's an attempt to push, but that's the wrong push. If you want to make a found footage film, fucking commit to the found footage. Find a way for there to be a camera.
Yep, maybe might not make sense, but they rarely do. Because that's one thing that always bothers me is like, why are they still holding the camera?
Yeah, but I'll take that over like, oh hey, they're in the pyramid. We did not bother to think about giving all the characters cameras. So as they die, fuck.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened. They're like, fuck it, just film the rest of it normal. We're out of money.
We don't got any more. It was 14 million, or I think it was like 2 million. I don't know. It was a cheap fucking film.
6 million.
Okay, 6. Yeah, we already used it. We had to make Anubis, guys. It's gone. It's like the South Park episode, and it's gone.
And it's gone. I love that guy in the video game when you have to like spin the wheel to get him to be your friend.
Oh yeah.
Good times.
Oh God, good stuff. Speaking of good times, let's see if we can do this next part. The part where we've talked, we've talked about things we've really kind of hated in this terrible film. But now it's time for the silver lining. One thing, it can be the little fucking chicken nugget thing for you, right? It can be a popcorn chicken sized positive for you. I'm really trying to make this work. Leave me alone. It works better than the goddamn movie. Shut up.
Not quite getting your metaphor, but I like where your heart's at.
Like, what's that thing? What's that fucking movie I'm thinking of? He's like, not what I'm looking for, but I like where your head's at.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I know that quote. I can't tell you the movie, but I know that quote.
It's going to bug the shit out of me. We're going before, but that's going to bug the living shit out of me.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead with your silver lining.
One thing I do like about this movie, the death scenes are particularly brutal. The kills work. I mean, you got the one Egyptian soldier who gets like folded through the tunnel, which is gruesome. Then you've got documentary lady falling on the spikes. You've got Dennis O'Hare getting an arm through the chest and melted.
Yes. Real quick, The Nice Guys. When his
Yes.
daughter does the coffee,
Yeah.
it turns out to be cold. And then Ryan Gosling. It's a great idea, honey. I like where your head's at.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, good. Glad you found that.
Yeah.
So Dennis O'Hare gets an arm through his chest and melted, and then Fitzy gets his head smashed. So there are some really good kill scenes in this movie. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I put a specific kill scene. So I agree with you in that like the death scene's all good. And I did actually I put Dennis O'Hare's death, not the part where like the hand comes through his chest, because I actually think that hand looks incredibly fucking fake, shakes away from the horror of that scene, which had you taken that, made that hand look better, would have been fucking horrific scene. Because it fucking does legit kind of come out of nowhere. And it's like, what the fuck? But it's the part of the night vision part. And this is what I was saying is like this is the one part where the creature does not look terrible. So night vision kind of hides a lot of that fucking roughness. So he gets points for that, for the creature actually looking scary in night vision. But also just seeing him, yeah, like Dennis O'Hare's still alive. He's like ran the heart, and then he just fucking eats it, and you can see him just like get mummified as he's eating his heart. That part I did quite enjoy.
Right on. Yeah, I liked it. I think that there's a lot of fantastical elements in this movie that aren't explained very well, like how Anubis is able to do any of that shit.
Yeah, like how was he able to keep him alive with his heart out of his chest, and what was the ultimate goal of putting the heart on that way system? Like, was that to tell how good or bad like he was, even though all I had to do was spend like 5 minutes on this guy was a complete prick. Like,
I don't know, but yeah, I'll give you that. He didn't look terrible in that bit, but then once we got him in the light, he looked like, you remember the original Mortal Kombat movie, the reptile?
Yeah,
that's what he kind of looked like to me.
Yeah, and what I hated about that scene was like they have the light right, and they put him front and center, like they were proud of this. They're like, here he is, guys. He's finally fully unveiled. I'm just like, it looks terrible.
The Anubis Soldiers in The Mummy Returns, which came out 13 years earlier, looked way better.
Yeah.
Oh,
God, that's sad. But yeah, this part, the creature doesn't look bad, and it's a pretty badass death. And like you said, the death scenes are really good. Even the one you don't see, when the guy who should have definitely died by that stone that totally fell on his head and not his leg, but the film wants me to believe it fell on his fucking leg. It really bugs me because the way it looks, it fell on fucking top of him, but it was like, no, it was his leg. Sure, okay. Yeah. But the aftermath, when they go back and like his blood is fucking everywhere, and it's like, what the fuck happened?
Well, he was dragged up the tunnel. Like that was creepy.
Yeah. And I wish that the care that clearly went into the death scenes went into the rest of the fucking movie.
Yep.
With that, let's move on to our next fun-filled segment before we wrap things up on this episode. And that is what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Well, there's a lot of disdain in the box. This is the lowest reviewed film that we've covered yet. This has 1.9 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I gave it 1.5 on my Letterboxd.
Oof, I think I gave it 2.5, but that was being generous.
God, you're way too generous. But I could also be way too cool. I fucking go for it if I hate your movie. I go for your throat.
I like to give credit where credit's due, and if there is a silver lining, I do like to let that shine through in my review or my score. But you know what? I might be being too nice here.
Oh, no, I go for the throw in the balls when I fucking hate a movie. You've seen my reviews.
I have. Sweet God. So I have 3, 2 quick ones and one that is a fucking essay about how much this guy hated this movie. So here's my first.
Too much time on his hands. I like it.
No, it's kind of amazing. Number 1, this is from Roman Kirby. I would have preferred if it was more like Scooby-Doo and had them all being chased by a mummy, and then they caught it and took its mask off, and it was like the president of Egypt. And he was like, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for these meddling kids. But it wasn't. Half a star. This guy just wants to watch Scooby-Doo.
That's awesome. I would have watched Scooby-Doo right after it. It makes me want to watch Scooby-Doo.
This is from Peter Burt. I included this one because the last sentence made me laugh so hard. Abysmal. But it also has a badly CGI'd Anubis chasing idiots through the catacombs of an ancient pyramid. So this is cinema, baby. 1.5 star. I love that excuse for any movie, whether it's good or bad. Well, hey, that's it, baby. Can't argue with that.
Yeah. Look, it's cinema. It's good. It's bad. It's in between. You get a little bit of everything with cinema.
This makes me think of like Frank Sinatra running his own production company. Like, that's cinema, baby. Just nothing. Doesn't matter. Okay. My final one. This is from Alex Faulkner. Bored this weekend? Fancy a strong laugh? Then you should see The Pyramid this weekend. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll demand your money back. If an 80-minute, ineptly written, annoying bore fest with an underdeveloped, pointless story that presents even better premises for the movie itself do it for you, book your tickets now. Stay far, far away from this tripe. I could feel this film's cold, lifeless hands reach out the screen, steal my money, and scream, "Fuck you," before the credits rolled. A good example of what is wrong with modern horror at the moment and why a certain filmmaker's involvement shouldn't lead you to the expectation of it being a good or at least competent movie. To add insult to injury, this abomination got a wide release from 20th Century Fox, who also released the similarly bad Devil's Due, right there with you, Alex. They really can't choose their found footage movies right, can they? While much better movies get swept under the radar, this Sphinx cat shit gets top marketing on websites. The found footage angle in this film isn't even properly used. The film just gives up this approach when it simply can't be bothered anymore. The Pyramid is just a poorly written, boring cash grab, which has the damn shame of having big, reputable names and companies involved. They are there to fool you into thinking it'll be good. I could delve into the film in a whole lot more detail, but this film doesn't deserve to waste any more of my time on it. I could have seen Black Sea instead of this. As above, so much better. 1 star.
Above, so much better.
Jesus Christ, Alex, how did this movie hurt you?
Alex, I want you on the team. That's what I want.
Alex, I want you to point to me on this doll where the movie touched you.
Clearly everywhere.
I just love it reached through the screen, stole my money, and screamed, "Fuck you." I can't. I've honestly never seen a movie that I felt was like physically hurting me like that.
Yeah. I think my favorite part was as above, so much better. That was good. Oh God. I really like
that's cinema, baby.
I like how, I'm sorry it hurt you, Alex, so much, but God damn it, did I love that review. I feel like you saw that at the theater and your ride home, you were thinking this the whole time.
Yeah, I bet. You know what? I bet I'm just picturing that cinema, baby, is Showgirls Al looking for the blowjob and trying to do like film reviews on the side and just being like, well, what? That's what it is, baby. It's cinema.
Cinema. God damn it. Get out of here, Al.
I'm bringing that guy back as often as I can. What if he was the Anubis they find in the pyramid? Like they locked him away.
A blowjob.
Yeah, they locked him away because the Egyptians didn't want to blow him.
Yeah,
so they locked his ass in the pyramid.
And at this point, he doesn't care who. He's swinging for both teams.
I'll show you the way out, but you know what it's going to cost.
It makes the scenes where Anubis keeps grabbing her as she's resting and take a whole different turn.
For those of you who are wondering what the fuck we're talking about, listen to our Showgirls episode a few episodes back, I believe number 3. Oh, so that's what's in the box.
Well, unlike this film, I'm closing that box right now. We're going to wrap this up. So before I reveal what happens on next week's episode, or reveal what the next week's movie is. I don't know. I act as if we have a show that we reveal what follows in our storyline that we don't have at all. Before I do that,
next week on Beyond the Bad.
Will Alex see a better movie? I don't know.
Will Al ever get his blowjob? Find out next week.
Let's God damn it. All right, social media. If you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Filmgazm Productions, I promise you Al won't be there looking for blowjobs. If you want to shoot us a recommendation, feel free to hit us up over at filmgazm@gmail.com. We will fit you into the schedule at some point. If you would like to donate and support us in any way, shape, or form, find us on Anchor. Don't have to donate, but if you want. And then finally, feel free to get on our website, filmgazm.com, for reviews, trailers, articles, all of our episodes. With that out of the way, next week on this show, Beyond the Bad, we are going to go full hog. Texas Chainsaw Massacre going on strong with one of the probably the most bizarre sequels I've ever watched in my life. In a film I don't even hate that much, actually. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. A strange, bizarre film that the agents of McConaughey and Zellweger have tried to bury. But thank you, Shout Factory, for relenting and giving us the proper Blu-ray this film deserves.
Yeah, this is my first time with this movie. I love the idea that not only did they refuse to take their names off the film, they put their faces front and center right on the poster. I love that. Like, embrace it. You're here because you were there. Just fucking deal with it.
Yeah, well, they got what they want on the cover of the Blu-ray. They're not on it, but I mean, their names on the back. It says starring Renee Zellweger, Matthew McConaughey. Like, you're still in the fucking. I'm going to put this into my Blu-ray player and going to pop up on my damn, 4K TV here, guys. Not going anywhere.
Well, next Friday is the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. So we're pulling out all the stops on our shows. On Filmgazm, we'll be doing the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which I'm excited to revisit.
And I'm just excited to watch because I'm actually a humongous fan of the 2003 remake.
Sweet. Yeah, so that's our plan. What do we got on Oscar Sunday this weekend?
Sunday is Best Picture Showdown, I believe. Is it this
right.
Sunday? Or did I look 1 week ahead?
That's next Sunday. This Sunday is the Undefeated documentary.
Actually, I did look 1 week ahead. I lied to you all.
Well, that's why I'm here, because I got to keep all this shit straight. Otherwise, I will lose my mind. So, yeah, 2011 is Undefeated on Oscar Sunday, and then sneak preview will be covering the new Kenneth Branagh, Agatha Christie movie, Death on the Nile.
Unfortunately, for me.
It'll probably be pretty good. Be optimistic.
No.
As I've said, it's got murder. You love murder.
I also like a good movie. And so for all the reviews, I point out the murder doesn't happen until well into an hour into the goddamn film.
Well, you got to establish the character so you feel bad for whoever gets murdered.
No, you don't. It's a 2-hour film. Why are you waiting an hour to kill off someone? Just fucking kill them off.
So you get to know them, I'm sure.
No, it's a murder mystery. The fun of murder mysteries is playing detective as you watch the movie and figuring out who did it.
Oh my God. Save it for Monday.
Was it Colonel Mustard in the library with the wrench?
Wrong movie, but I like where your head's
at. Goddamn movie.
Oh, well, that's what we got for the next week on Filmgazm Productions. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yes. Until then, don't go be digging up old pyramids in Egypt and exploring them if you lose your fucking super expensive NASA rover, whatever the fuck that thing was. Anubis or another horribly CGI creation just might be waiting to take you out. See you next week on Beyond the Bad.